All right, guys, we're going to play with the pile of buttons and doodle. It's going to be fun, calm, and positive doodling today. Thank you for being here. Let's get started. Good morning. Welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie, and I'm here to welcome you to a fun time. We're going to be doodling, and I've got a pile of actual buttons from. Actually, this is just a part of my button jar. I couldn't get the big button jar to show up on the camera. So I've got a whole bunch of buttons, and I just dumped some out onto the table. And isn't that pretty? I love how uh, varied the buttons are, how many different designs and things that there are to do with them. So let's get started. We're just going to be doodling on 140-pound watercolor paper, so that way I can maybe throw a little bit of color on, sort of like these. These were actually, I put colored dots down on the paper first with a little bit of watercolor pencil and made them into little circles. But this pile right here, I just went to town and doodled last night. What do you guys think? Are you excited to be here? If you're new, make sure that you click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified when new videos go up. I am having fun doing a lot of live doodling. We are actually going to be doing a live coloring doodle time. We're going to be coloring the doodles. We did this last weekend, a whole bunch of coffee cups on Wednesday, and that's going to be in the afternoon, evening, so 3 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday. I will be getting out the paints and the pencils, and we're going to just have some fun coloring. But right now, I want to doodle these buttons. Maybe buttons could fill in a bigger doodle. Oh, absolutely. You can use buttons to fill in other things. You can also use buttons to make pictures. I have seen big, huge pieces of artwork done with just like white buttons. A lot of the Pacific Northwest Native American indigenous groups, they would have button blankets where they would put big, huge designs all sewn on with small white buttons. The button blankets tended to come into play after the Europeans came in and they started trading and such like that. But they kept doing their native arts. They just were very resourceful and incorporated the materials at hand. So, yay! So glad you guys are here. I am ready to just jump in. Oh, I'm also using, this is an Eco pen. It's waterproof. It's cheap. You get it in a tube of them. And every once in a while, they do have a dud pen, but just like any company, you can't always get perfect. And since they're cheap, but I've only had one dud out of 16 pens so far, so I think we're doing okay. If you want to share this with your friends, please do. And if you do any of the button art, make sure that you share it with me. Now, I've got the buttons up here in the corner as a reference. We'll see how this works. So, what I'm going to do, set that out of the way, grab a piece of paper, get the keyboard off my lap. So, oh yeah, and if you have older relatives, or maybe you inherited grandma's button box, go take a look at it. There's some really interesting things that you can find. And if you can't find them, the craft stores, a lot of them have buttons that are, pretty and shiny and have lots of different textures and things. I tend to go straight in with my pen, but you could take a pencil and draw yourself some circles with pencils and just grab things like a bottle and put a couple, well, you can't really see that very well. Put a couple circles on it, different sizes. Maybe I want another little button here. And right now I'm just putting circles on, and that's not even a good circle because this is squishy. That's okay. It's going to get just wiped out of the way. Really easy. I'm just using an eraser. And if you actually have buttons, you can take and trace your actual buttons and get some circles on. They don't have to be perfect. Sorry, my lighting is set for black and white pen. So you can just start throwing buttons on. But I am going to work with pen mostly because you can see it. So I'll ink up that circle. And then you can decide which direction, and look, not perfect. That's part of the whimsical charm of these buttons, is that they're not perfect. They're a little bit wobbly on the edges. I'm not doing photorealism, I'm doing doodling. And so right here, you can see I've got a circle overlapping. This one's going to go underneath. So I'm starting at the line, working my way around, and stopping. That's how you start stacking buttons up. Get a few buttons on here, circles. I'm putting my circles on first, and then I just fill them in with doodles. Yeah, that's how easy that is. Look, you can also do buttons that are, I'm going to come in here and stars. So I'm looking at that going, I like that star. I think I want it to be one of my top buttons. It's not going to be perfect. But I can always go back and thicken up a line and just incorporate that into the design. Good morning. I'm so glad you guys are here. Let's see, get that right there. I see that there's like a little square button. Maybe I'll put a little square, and the reference buttons you don't have to do, that's a pretty plain little button. It's pretty shiny. You don't have to be just, let's see, how about we rotate them so you guys can see them better. Look at that. You don't have to be a slave to the designs or lack of designs. You can add things. I might want a bigger square button. Throwing some different shapes down on my page. All right. Let's see here. We're going to fill these in with patterns and designs. Let's see. I want to I'm throwing buttons around, but I don't want to pick up that pile of buttons and throw it. Many of the buttons have the holes in the top, but some of them are the shank back type buttons. So look at that. So you wouldn't see that. You just see the circle from the front with a pattern on it. All part of the fun. And I hope that you guys have fun sitting wherever you are, enjoying the sunshine if you have sunshine, enjoying the air conditioning if that's what you have. I'm going to put a couple triangles on here. Or strange shapes. I am going to make a couple that are sort of flower-shaped buttons, sort of just like our flower doodles that we've been doing. You know, you don't, just because the button pile that you have doesn't have the shape you want, you can make your buttons up. They can be whimsical, they can be whatever you want. And if you have a circle template and that makes you happy to use a circle template. What I mean by that is I have a little template here, and I can do circles. This would be more if I was trying to make a lot of perfect ones. I don't want to do too many with the template, because if I do that, I will end up with too many things that are perfect, or a few things that are perfect. And if too many of them are like perfect circles, the wonky ones look weird. So, but that's all you do. Just trace your template. All right. I think that's a nice little pile. I might put shaped ones in here, but you don't have to make all your decisions to start off with. And you don't have to make anything that doesn't make you happy. So there, we're just going to start doodling. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. So let's just start filling in some doodles. And I'm going to pretend that some of these I can actually see the edges. Yeah, there's a lot of pretty buttons. Some of these are buttons I've collected, off of clothes and things. Some were given to me. Some are just out of button bags that I bought at the craft store. I want to fill in a button there. So I'm going to just start putting some patterns on. I think this square button right here is going to have a little square in the middle. And I'm going to bring some little lines up and put another square in the middle. This is one of those buttons that's like it's got that sparkly gem. They don't all have to be super detailed. There we go. And I'm deciding on this one. I'm thinking I'm going to pick this button up. I'm thinking something along the lines of little circles around the outside, another circle. We can do maybe some little flowers on this really big one. So I think that's what I'm going to do. What I'll do here is I'm just going to start putting circles going around the outside. These are doodles and just fun, peaceful things. This is definitely having a cup of coffee. Either sitting at the window where the rain is pouring down, sketchbook on your lap, making it into a card, whatever you want to do. Or sitting on the front porch, that big cup of tea. Watching the birds and drawing buttons. If I did my recording out on the front porch, there would be all of the noise from the street, people mowing their lawns, but I have a ton of birds because the neighbors have feeders. And it makes it really nice because the neighborhood is filled with the sound of birds also. There, just did a ring of circles all the way around. And look at this. They're not perfect. They're wobbly. Some of them connect well, some of them don't. And that's okay. Let's see. All right. So now I will go ahead and sort of eyeball in my center. And then make another little ring in that. And then this one had 4 balls. So I'll go ahead and do those, but I'm going to make them into flowers, I think. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I love how international our group is. If you guys are new, go ahead and click that subscribe button. If any of you haven't done it already, make sure that you've got your notifications set. And would you please tell me, did you find this video on the suggestions next to another video? Or did you find it browsing for doodling videos? Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to put more circles in. I like that. Fitting these circles in between. Sort of like I'm growing a flower one circle petal at a time. Go ahead and leave it in the comments where you found this video. I'd like to know if you were looking for something specific. So let's see. This one's going to get another ring. Just because. And to make it all match up, I'll put smaller ones in the centers of all these other petals. Look at that. Doesn't have to look like I made a mistake, because there are no mistakes. These are doodles. I like how they're random. There we go. All right, so now what do I want to do? I think I am going to do a little scallop edge around all those little balls around the outside. Not perfect, not trying to be. That's one of the things, you let go of the perfection. Tell that inner critic that this is looking exactly the way it's supposed to look. And just relax into it. I have a few of my community that they comment about how they are kind of rigid, or things have to be exactly right or it's not right. And that's really something that they're working on letting go of. So, but it's okay to like things to be very, very smooth, very clean. It's okay to do that. Just know that all the different kinds of art are okay. I'm sort of filling in around the outside here and giving it a bit of a wobbly, bumpy edge. Thanks, Gina, for answering that. Yes, these are EcoPen, ECO pens. There's a link down in the more information for the pens. I like them. They are a cardboard tube that you can throw away, or not throw away, but put in the recycle bin. So all of that from the pen can get tossed in a bin, recycling. And this is what they look like when they're empty. And I'm trying to think of a craft that I can do that might use these fun little tips. Maybe putting them together as a Christmas ornament or something, using some super glue. Maybe checking to see if I can use it like a dip pen and dip it, because it's got this faceted tip. It's really pretty. So I don't know. Okay, I'm going to take a slurp of coffee. You found it browsing other videos. Excellent. Yeah, I'm really enjoying these pens. And they're cheap. It's like $8 for 16 pens. Comes in a tube like that. Cardboard tube, so you can recycle that, but it works really well to put pencils in or brushes. Really nice to put your shorter than this brush, so smaller than the Mimic Round 12, but your shorter paint brushes can go in that and put into your backpack if you were going on a trip. And yeah, it's packaging that's not going to go into the garbage for sure. It's a nice solid tube. You could also use it as a mailing tube and mail small rolled up artwork. And this is doodling, so it does take time, and you can like get this far on it, move over, do something else. And I think I am. I'm going to put a plain button like that. Just a 4-hole plain button. It's got a little rim around it. I like those. They're good for filling in spaces. So all you do is make another circle inside that circle. Boom. And then give it 4 holes. And if you're looking at a button with certain light on it, you can see the thickness of the button. And then I'm going like this and going, well, I see a little bit of the thickness of this one coming down here. And let's see, it's going over the top of that one, so there'll be a little shadow. All right, guys. So I have a question for you. Do you have a go-to design or a go-to pattern that you always gravitate towards when you are doodling? Because, I'm finding that I have some, and one of those patterns is actually just like that button right there. I think I'm going to put it right here. So let's see. This one, I'm going to put my pattern in, just doing stripes first. And I'm being careful, looking at the background here and going, I have something that's right here behind another button that's behind this one. I don't want my pattern lines to line up exactly with that button behind. So there we are, making those lines go on. if you have them line up, that's what they call a tangent. And it makes it hard to see where something starts and where something stops. So by having it offset from that one in the background, it doesn't... Oh, I see what some of my shaking is. I have my feet sitting on the bottom drawer of my table. I always thought it was a truck or something driving by. All right. Well, my table has a set of drawers underneath of it. And I have the tabletop sitting on top of the drawers. And I pull the bottom drawer out and use it as a footstool. Oh my goodness, can't do that. I am going to go ahead, and these stripes are going to get broken into kind of a brick pattern. So they're offset. Just like that. Kind of heading towards the middle of the line before. Giving it that really easy brick pattern. Or subway tile. This is a very much like a subway tile pattern because they're narrow. But I'm also going to put texture in them. I like the idea of texture on those. So now I'm just going to go in and I'm going to do lines. But instead of having all of the lines going the same direction so it looks kind of quilted, I want it to look a little bit more textured. So I'm going to make these lines go back and forth. Now, it's not going to look like it's woven because I offset, but it's going to give it lovely texture. And it will look kind of like an odd weave, I guess. These types of things don't go super, super fast. And that's part of the charm of doing this type of artwork, is that it takes time. And it's fun and relaxing, very calming. Very nice. Well, I'm glad that you found this one live. I hope that it's living up to your expectations of what a live show is like. My live shows are not super slick. I try to have enough light on my pieces of artwork that I'm working on. I try to get things big enough so you can see it. So that's why I just enlarged that. And I try to check the chat pretty frequently. So welcome. And anybody else who's new in here, if you haven't already clicked that subscribe button and you like what you see and you want to see more of it, make sure that you turn on the notifications. I have been doing art pretty much all my life. Doodling for sure. And I go through phases. I think all of us go through phases when we're doing our artwork, where something is fun for a while and then we get a little bit bored, and so that it's time to move on to something else for a while. So, but doodling is always there in the background for me, no matter what I'm doing. But it's been a couple years since I've really done a lot of doodling on my channel. But if you're interested, I have, well, the first year of my channel basically was all doodle gems and drawing. So if you're interested in drawing and doodling, I have 60 or 70 doodle gem videos where it's a lot like doing these, but I would do just one with a gem in the center and then the doodle shape around the outside, and we would make the gem or stone, you know, whoop. See, things move. The gem or stone would be colored with colored pencil, and then the setting around the gem or the stone would be done with the black pen. Now I see that I want to go and just put a heavier line, and I'm doing it on just the ones that have the sideways lines going. And you see how just adding one more heavy line is making that pattern just stand out. You don't have to do super involved shading. You can, certainly. And that is, again, one of the benefits of doodling. No one can tell you you've done it wrong. There we go. Let's see. I think that one's just going to get filled in up and down. Now I do want a couple holes in the top of this, and I am just going to go and put them in like that, and then color them just a little bit. Leave a little spot of light if you can. If you can't, and if you end up with a solid black spot, no big deal. But if you can leave a little spot of light in there, it makes the button look a little bit more dimensional. And I'm trying to put some depth. Because I'm working on a flat table, well, actually I'm slightly slanted, but it's not in my lap the way I would normally. Here, let me show you. So when I'm doodling in my at home, I'm sitting with my sketchbook, and it's here in my lap, and I'm usually working on it. I'll scoot back. Let's see if I've got enough room to scoot back. I'm usually like this, drawing, just curled up in a ball in a chair, and using my leg to hold my as my table for my tablet or my sketchbook, and I'll just you know, get both feet up in and have some, what do I want to say? It's just having that little ball of quiet. It's a ball of quiet. I like that. I like being able to just go into myself. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's a way of going into myself. All right, back to here. It was kind of nice seeing this from the top down too, wasn't it? I mean, from a wider view. Silly me. All right. Thank you, Gina, so much for being here. And hey, guys, yeah, click the like button and, you know, share the video with your friends. That really, really does help. All right. I want to move over. I'm going to do a button like this one. So we're going to go with stripes and little stripes and balls. This is a shank button, so it doesn't have the holes in the top. I think that one's going to go right here. And I'm going to have the stripes and circles going across. So narrow stripe, wider stripe, narrow stripe, wider stripe. I'm not putting as many. See, this has a lot more. You can make those choices. You're not you're not limited by the reference. The reference is there to give you a starting point. So straight lines are a go-to, and so are small circles for me. If I want to fill in something, a lot of times I will be filling it in with either consistent small circles, or I will fill it in with random ones, big and little circles, and make it look like a stone pattern. And I'm going to put another small line on either side. Not perfect, just having fun. We're not going to color in all of these buttons because, you know, they're not all color. Many of them are just gray or silver or white. So, and that's pretty much all I want to do there. I can go back in and color in those little triangles between, which then makes those little circles look more like little balls. And look, I'm just barely touching in to drop a tiny bit of ink in that. I like the ink in this pen because it is very fluidy, but it dries real quick. You know, we're not transferring ink. I'm not getting ink on my hand as I'm drawing. See? I think this little button right here is going to be what I call a ninja button. You put the circles in. That's the ninja's eyes. And then you do a shape over the, like a parentheses on either side. There we go. And that button is done. You know, if you put too many fancy buttons on, you can't see them. So you want to intersperse some plain buttons with your fancy buttons. So I probably won't go and make that one all little dots, because I think that would make it just way too fancy for that button right there. So what will I do with that star? I will make it a little bit fancy. I'm going to make it so it looks like it's a shank button. So it has that shank in the back. It's sitting on an angle, kind of like that. So what do I see? I see the thickness of this one right here. I see the thickness of this one and that one right there. So those two. And we see a bit of the thickness of this one back here. So I'm going to move that and say a little bit of that. Basically, it's just adding a line slightly away. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Yay! I appreciate that. Now, I do want something in here. I'm going to put a center dot, and I am going to go out to that space between the points. We're making this look a little bit more dimensional. Maybe thicken up that center line just a little bit where it's thick and then it goes thin as it comes out. kind of like that. Not too detailed. Maybe I'll put one more line going out, and I'm going to let it kind of curve towards that point. Ooh. This is all doodling, guys. This is, whoops, a wobbly line, and that's okay. Look at that. So we took reference for the shape and for how to get the depth on the points, but we decorated it our own way, and that is so cool. I think we're going to go with one like this. Nice and simple. It has a ring around the outside edge, a space, and then it has a ring around the inside. And as I've said, my circles are not perfect. I am not trying to be perfect circles, but if you need perfect circles, get a circles inking template. You will find them on Amazon. You'll find them in, a lot of times you'll find them in office supply stores. Will have templates in the area where they've got pens. And looking at this, we've got a heavier, darker line around that top edge. And you know why? Is because my light is coming from here and on top. But I have a light that's directed this way towards me. So that's a shadowed edge. And if we put that little bit of thicker line right here, it starts to give that button a little bit of interest without having it be too fussy. Keep your shadow lines on your circles coming from the same direction. And then we have a little bit of a thicker line down here at the bottom, and that's where you see the actual thickness of the button. Just like that. And there's a bit of a shadow under this edge. And I'm just using the pen to do my shadows. I'm making these dark shadows. All right. And I know these videos get a little bit longer. And if you want to, go away, come back later and check out what we ended up doing, I'm going to make this one have only 2 holes instead of 4. Nothing says you have to make all of the holes match your buttons. These videos are really nice as background noise too. So if you are looking for something to have on while you're cleaning the kitchen or folding the laundry, and you just want to have some friendly background chatter on, this is really nice background chatter. Let's see. I am looking and going, why don't we go and put a square in the center of this one? And then, what do I want to do to that square? I think we're going to give it a little bit of design. We'll give it a little edge around. This might be one that had like that shank in the back also. That loop for sewing your buttons on. When you double up lines, you give them more weight You also give it an opportunity to be something that is dimensional. So right now I'm going to go and just making it up on those little circles on the inside. I left a little spot for some sparkle. See? Super, super, super easy. All right, I'm gonna just barrel through and get a few of these done as a little bit more basic type buttons. So I just made that one into a bigger button. I wanted to fill that space. I'm going to put a circle and a circle for those buttonholes. You can, for the buttonholes, for the holes in the button. There we go. And because you see that part of the button there, you would see a little bit of this edge here. And tiny bit of that edge down there. So that's going to be dark. Just like that. All right, so maybe I've got another little button that flower button is sitting on top of. And it's just a standard round pearly shirt button. And you're only going to see one of the holes. I hope you're finding this to be restful. I am. All right, so now I'm going to go and give these petals a little bit more depth, a little thickness. Like that. And little lines, little straight lines. Fill in some details. And this one is actually pretty flat. It's like a flat, clear plastic. So I'm taking my pen and I'm just barely touching and dragging it along. When you do that, it gives you a random shading or texture. And that can be the light shining on it. Oh my, this is looking good. I'm enjoying it. Let's see, I think that one's going to get a little thicker as it goes that direction. I want a bit of shadow under that one. I'm not putting the shadow in hard and dark. I'm just, again, letting the pen barely touch. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Let's see. That button there, I'm actually seeing it from this side. So maybe it's like a candy corn. That's all I'm going to do to it. Make it look like a little candy corn when it's colored in. And I just did that quick and easy. Made it up. Didn't have to do anything, too wild and crazy. Let's see. I like those buttons too. It's actually like a little dish, but that's harder to portray. You end up with it looking just flat unless you go in and give it color. See? The light and dark is what gives this the shape. Yeah, I like that. I like looking at things like this. Actually, ooh, I like that one. I like this little petal pattern going around the center. Still very simple. So maybe we'll do that. And I'm going to do it on this one right here. So, smaller circle in the middle, a ring around that circle, and then we're just going to fill in with little petals. It's not going to look the same. It's not going to be exact. And we're okay with that. Well, at least I'm okay with that. I don't know. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with your doodles not being exactly the same as the buttons? I like how these turn out looking so whimsical. Vintage style. There we go. Put a little shadow down there. Put a little shadow around there. By varying your line weight, you end up giving it depth. And to vary the line weight here, I'm just drawing a line next to it. Hey guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and have a really, really good day. And if you want to see what this looks like at the end, come back later today and check it out. This video will be staying up on YouTube. It's not going to come down. So it'll be there for you when you're ready to watch. There, see, giving it that depth just by adding that extra line. And then I'm going to make this one have 4 holes. You can leave them just as circles, or you can go back in and give it a little bit of shading inside. All right, guys, yay. I am so glad that people are finding this to be calming and relaxing. The world is a crazy, crazy place right now. Or maybe we're just all noticing more that it's a crazy place. But here, in our world of doodles, we can have it be whatever we want. I am actually going to be staying off of any of my social media today. I have decided that the only thing I'm going to do is post on Instagram about these buttons. And so if you post on my Facebook page today, I'm probably, it might be late tonight when I see it, or tomorrow, because I need to take a little break from social media. My husband keeps saying, honey, Twitter is not your friend right now. And I keep reminding him that Facebook isn't his right now. So, but in general, you can find me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube and my website. And on my website, I have templates and patterns that are free that you could download one of them and fill it with buttons. Ah, Scarlett, thank you so much. I love my community, and I love that you guys are here to, support art. Let's see, I think, ooh, that's pretty. That has a cool little pattern in it. Let's see if I can do that one. I like that. So that's got a circle in the center. And looking at it, it's actually like folded ribbon or fabric going around. So in the center it has these V shapes, and between those V shapes it has, let's see, is that, trying to see which way I'm going. We're going in, we're going out. In, out. Yeah. So that would be an up, that would be a down. You make your little arches going back and forth. Hadn't done this button before, so looking at it, going, okay, so that's more dark in that section. Oh, there, look. We just figured out a pattern. Going around. Cool. I like that. All right. You're loving the doodles. Ah, that's really nice. I find doodling to be such a, oh wow. I did have a star that was like this one. I'm sorry, squirrel. Yes, doing the doodling is a great way to take care of yourself. And it doesn't require a whole bunch of tools. You know, just a pencil and a piece of paper and you can doodle. So I'm just throwing some little buttons in here. Fill space. See, by doing that little curved line around that edge, it made it look like this button has shape. This one's going to be another ninja button. It always just looks like somebody with a mask on and a beanie hat pulled down. There you go. Wow. All right. One more button to do the, I have to rotate, guys. I have to rotate. One of the things about keeping it all going the same direction is you tend to put your lines going the same way for your shadows and your thickening of your buttons, showing the textures and showing the thicknesses. So I need to do this one. I'll just do it this way. I don't want to throw it off. And by rotating, sometimes you will throw off your direction. And yeah, I do kind of work all over the place. Ah, Duflé. That's very sweet of you. You know, doodles are a way to take care of yourself. And I'm happy that I've been able to help you out. There we go. All right, I want to just give this one another ring around the outside. Make it just a little bit different. Boom, 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 boom. We're going to throw just a little bit of color around here. We're not going to do a lot. I think I want just I'm just going to grab my water brush and a little palette of watercolors. and put just a few touches of color here and there. I haven't even planned this out. You want it to be really light application of color. You don't want it to be heavy. You want to still see your pen lines, and watercolor can obscure your pen lines if you put it on too thick. Even though watercolor is transparent, now I can start rotating it. I see different colors. And I have a dirty palette here, and I'm kind of just picking up color from the dirty palette to put in. So that one's a lot darker right there. I'm just going to give that more of that shadowy type of look right there. And I don't want to do a ton. Of coloring. I want to give you the opportunity to see that you can color. Oh, I've got just a little brush pen. Maybe we'll go and, because the ink is waterproof, I can take this watercolor brush pen marker right in on top of it, and it's not going to make the pen bleed. That's nice. Go and drop that color somewhere else also. Ooh, maybe we'll do that. We'll make this into like a green sparkly gem. And you see what I did here? I left a lot of white. I just gave it a little bit of color. Touch of color, not much. I can grab a colored pencil. And this is a dark blue. Maybe we'll go with this one right here. This is actually a watercolor pencil, but you can leave it just as a colored pencil. I did this on watercolor paper so I could get things wet. And look, I'm not putting this pencil down heavy. I'm lightly applying pencil. And I'm leaving white spaces. So I could leave this just like that. Or I can take my handy dandy water brush and get that wet and smooth it out. Leave some white. You don't have to melt all the pencil if you don't want to. The water dissolves the binder that holds the pigment. See? That makes it into a shiny little colorful button. And let's see, I want tiniest bit of color in my brush. Just barely giving that some color. Look at that. All right, this big one right here. What am I going to do? That one may be kind of a watercolor, sort of a greenish, dull greenish color. It might have been metal that's tarnished. Absolutely. Drawing and painting to distract from what's going on. So many people are hurting right now. And we need to remember that our mental health and the mental health of everyone is so important. And doodling, for me, is one of the best ways to take care of my health. The way I think about things. My husband can tell when I'm getting really super stressed and that it's time to do something arty. All right, I'm just going to throw a little bit of color right on top of those. See, it's not anything super detailed. I may go ahead I just grabbed another color here. This is basil green. I can drop some of this color right in on top of that wet paper. This is the Arteza watercolor brush. I have a whole bunch of videos on how to watercolor with these pens. But this time I'm just basically drawing or using it for my shadow, a little bit more intense. But on the wet paper, it blurs out. And these aren't necessarily light fast, but I'm doing it for a card, not necessarily for a permanent piece of artwork. And when you're doing your doodles, you don't have to worry so much about the archival quality and all of that. I'm going to leave a high shine. See? Sweet little things. I need some more red on here though. Or yellow. Ooh, let's go with a pretty kind of good yellow. Yep. Distancing from social media is not a bad thing. And I have trained my Facebook. Facebook does not show me a lot of stressful stuff, generally. But right now, there's just no way to get around it. This is doodling with your watercolor now. I'm going to take this yellow and I'm going to put it over here. I am going to make that into a candy corn. I'm just picking up the paint that I'd already put down someplace else. And then I'll take a little bit of the red, mix it with the yellow to get a little orange. My candy corn has the orange on the bottom and the yellow in the middle and the white tip, and because I'm watercoloring next to wet watercolor, I'm getting that really cool little bloom bleed. I like that. I'm going to take this orangey color and drop it right over here. And I think we are just about done for the day. You can certainly continue to do all kinds of doodling. And remember that going out and doing something creative, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm gonna color the star. Doing something creative, taking care of yourself so you can take care of those around you, really does, that's fun, really does make a difference to you and the people around you. Remember, take care of your mental health. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, and tell me how you found this video in the comments. I really want to know. We'll talk to you soon. Oh, Wednesday, we're going to be coloring. It's all going to be coloring. And we're doing the mugs, cups from the weekend surprise live shows. So you can get caught up if you check those out. Take care, guys. Hugs.